First Samuel 11. Saul rescued the town of Jabesh in Gilead. About this time, King Nahash of Ammon came with his army and surrounded the town of Jabesh in Gilead. The people who lived there told Nahash, "If you will sign a peace treaty with us, you can be our ruler and we'll pay taxes to you." Nahash answered, "Sure, I will sign a treaty, but not before I insult Israel by poking out the right eyes of every man who lives in Jabesh." The town leader said, "Give us 7 days so we can send messengers everywhere in Israel to ask for help. If no one comes here to save us, we'll surrender to you." Some of the messengers went to Gilead, Saul's hometown. They told what was happening at Jabesh, and everyone in Gilead started crying. Just then, Saul came in from the field, walking behind his oxen. "Why is everyone crying?" Saul asked. They told him what the man from Jabesh had said. Then the Spirit of God suddenly took control of Saul and made him furious. Saul killed 2 of his oxen, cut them up in pieces, and gave the pieces to the messengers. He told them to show the pieces to everyone in Israel and say, "Saul and Samuel are getting an army together. Come and join them. If we don't, this is what will happen to your oxen." The Lord made the people of Israel terribly afraid. So all the men came together at Bezek. Saul had them organized and counted. There were 300,000 from Israel and 30,000 from Judah. Saul and his officers sent the messenger back to Jabesh with this promise: "We'll rescue tomorrow afternoon." The messengers went back to the people at Jabesh and told them that they were going to be rescued. Everyone was encouraged, so they told the Ammonites, "We'll surrender to you tomorrow, and then you can do whatever you want to." The next day, Saul divided his army into 3 groups and attacked before daylight. They started killing Ammonites and kept it up until afternoon. A few Ammonites managed to escape, but they were scattered far from each other. These righteous soldiers went to Samuel and demanded, "Where are the men who said they didn't want Saul to be king? Bring them to us and we'll put them to death." "No, you won't," Saul told them. "The Lord rescued Israel today, and no one will be put to death. Saul is accepted as king." "Come on," Saul said. "Let's go to Gilgal and make an agreement that Saul will continue to be our king." Everyone went to the place of worship at Gilgal, where they agreed that Saul would be their king. Saul and the people sacrificed animals to ask for the Lord's blessing, and they had a big celebration. 12. Samuel's farewell speech. Samuel told the Israelites, I have given you a king just as you asked. You have seen how I have led you ever since I was a young man. I'm already old, my hair is gray, and my own sons are grown. Now you must see how well your king will lead you. Let me ask this. Have I ever taken anyone's ox or donkey or forces you to give me anything? Have I ever hurt anyone or taken a bribe to give an unfair decision? Answer me so the Lord and his chosen king can hear you. And if I have done any of these things, I will give it all back. No, the Israelites answered, You've never cheated us in any way. Samuel said, The Lord and his chosen king are witnesses to what you have said. That's true, they replied. Then Samuel told them, The Lord brought your ancestors out of Egypt and chose Moses and Aaron to be your leaders. Now the Lord will be your judge. So stand here and listen while I remind you how often the Lord has saved you and your ancestors from your enemies. After Jacob went to Egypt, your ancestors cried out to the Lord for help, and he sent Moses and Aaron. They brought your ancestors out of Egypt and led them here to settle this land. But your ancestors forgot the Lord, so he let them be defeated by the Philistines, the king of Moab, and Sisera, the commander of Hajar's army. Again, your ancestors cried out to the Lord for help. They said, We have sinned. We stopped worshiping you, our Lord, and started worshiping Baal and Ashtaroth. But now, if you rescue us from our enemies, we will worship you. The Lord sent Gideon, Bedan, Jephthah, and Samuel to rescue you from your enemies, and you didn't have to worry about being attacked. Then you saw that King Nahash of Ammon was going to attack you. And even though the Lord your God is your king, you told me, this time it's different. You want a king to rule us. You asked for a king and you chose one. Now he stands here where all of you can see him. But it was really the Lord you who made him your king. If you and your king want to be followers of the Lord, you must worship him and do what he says. Don't be stubborn. If you are stubborn and refuse to obey the Lord, he will turn against you and your king. Just stand here and watch the Lord show his mighty power. Isn't this the dry season? I'm going to ask the Lord to send a thunderstorm. When you see it, you realize how wrong you were to ask for a king. Samuel prayed, and the same day the Lord sent a thunderstorm. Everyone was afraid of the Lord and of Samuel. They told Samuel, Please pray to the Lord your God for us. We don't want to die. We have sinned many times in the past, and we are very wrong to ask for a king. Samuel answered, even though what you did was wrong, you don't need to be afraid. But you must always follow the Lord and worship Him with all your heart. Don't worship idols. They don't have any power, and they can't help you or save you when you're in trouble. But the Lord has chosen you to be His own people. He'll always take care of you so that everyone will know how great He is. I would be disobeying the Lord if I stopped praying for you. I will always teach you how to live right. You also must obey the Lord. You must worship Him with all your heart and remember the great things He has done for you. But if you and your king do evil, the Lord will wipe you out. First Samuel 13. Saul disobeyed the Lord. Saul was a young man when he became king, and he ruled Israel for 2 years. Then he chose 3,000 men from Israel to be full-time soldiers and sent everyone else home. 2,000 of these troops stayed with him in the hills around Michmash and Bethel. The other 1,000 were stationed with Jonathan at Gilead in the territory of Benjamin. Jonathan led an attack on the Palestine army camp at Geba. The Palestine camp was destroyed, but the other Palestinians heard what had happened. Then Saul told his messengers, go to every village in the country, give a signal with the trumpet, and when the people come together, tell them what has happened. The messenger then said to the people of Israel, Saul has destroyed the Palestine army camp at Gibeah. Now the Palestinians really hate Israel, so every town and village must send men to join Saul's army at Gilgal. The Palestinians called their army together to fight Israel. They had 3,000 chariots, 6,000 cavalry, and as many foot soldiers as there are grains of sand on the beach. They went to Michmash and set up camp there east of Beth Aven. The Israelite army realized that they were outnumbered and were going to lose the battle. Some of the Israelite men hid in caves or in clumps of bushes, and some ran to places where they could hide among large rocks. Others hid in tombs or in deep, dry pits. Still others went to Gad and Gilgal on the other side of the Jordan River. Saul stayed at Gilgal. His soldiers were shaking with fear, and they were starting to run off and leave him. Saul waited there 7 days, just as Samuel had ordered him to do. But Samuel did not come. Finally, Saul commanded, bring me some animals so we can offer sacrifices to please the Lord and ask for his help. Saul killed one of the animals, and just as he placed it on the altar, Samuel arrived. Saul went out to welcome him. "What have you done?" Samuel asked. Saul answered, "My soldiers were leaving in all directions, and you didn't come when you were supposed to. The Palestinians were gathering at Michmash, and I was worried that they would attack me here at Gilgal. I hadn't offered the sacrifice to ask for the Lord's help, so I forced myself to offer a sacrifice on the altar fire." "That was stupid," Samuel said. "You didn't obey the Lord your God. If you had obeyed him, someone from your family would always have been king of Israel. But no, you disobeyed, and so the Lord won't choose anyone else from your family to be king. In fact, you have already chosen the one he wants to be the next leader of his people." Then Samuel left Gilgal. Part of Saul's army had not deserted him, and he led them to Gilead in Benjamin to join his other troops. Then he counted them and found that he still had 600 men. Saul, Jonathan, and their army set up camp at Geba in Benjamin. Jonathan attacks the Palestinians. The Palestinians' army was camped at Michmash. Each day, they sent out patrols to attack and rob villages and then destroy them. One patrol would go north along the road to Opar in the region of Shur. Another patrol would go west along the road to Beth Horon. A third patrol would go east toward the desert on the road to the ridge that overlooks Jeboim Valley. The Palestinians would not allow any Israelites to learn how to make iron tools. If we allowed that, they said, those worthless Israelites would make swords and spears. Whenever the Israelites wanted to get an iron point out on a cattle prod, they had to go to the Palestinians. Even if they wanted to sharpen, plow, braze, picks, axes, sickles, and pitchforks, they still had to go to them, and the Palestinians charged high prices. So whenever the Israeli soldiers had to go into battle, no one of them had a sword or a spear except Saul and his son Jonathan. The Palestinians moved their camp to the pass at Michmash.